Hello and welcome to Might Be Awesome. My name is Sam Basher.
And I'm DJ Wooldridge.
And today we're going to be reviewing Spider-Man Far From Home. You have that shirt. I have this shirt.
What?
I'm just a dad on the internet having a great time. And boy, howdy, do we have a good time watching Spider-Man Far From Home. This is the second Spider-Man movie, so salute them for the hard work. But yes, this movie is directed by Jon Watts and is written by Chris McKenna and Eric Summers. Of course, shout out to Steve Ditko and Stan Lee for creating Spider-Man. Yep. This is starring Tom Holland, Jake Gyllenhaal, Zendaya, Samuel L. Jackson, Colbie Smulders, Tony Revolori, Jon Favreau, and so many more. And of course, the synopsis, you guys probably know what it is, but here you go. Following the events of Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man must step up to take on the new threats that the world in a world that is changed forever. Now, this movie's going to be hitting theaters July 2nd, 2019 in America and a few other countries, right? It is released internationally in a few other places, so if you don't want spoilers, be careful. This is a spoiler-free review, but right now it is
spoilers.
No spoilers. It's sitting at a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, but the scores are still being, aggregated. But the consensus right now is a breezy, unpredictable blend of teen romance and superhero action. Spider-Man Far From Home stylishly sets the stage for the next era of the MCU. That's a pretty good one.
Breezy seems very accurate. Stylish at times.
I'd say the second half, you figure out the style of the movie.
Yeah.
Good for Sony for doing 2 international movies in a row, huh? Mm-hmm. You got your Men in Black International and this. They
already had the tax breaks. You know
it's
what I mean?
Kind of like Adam Sandler does his movies based on his vacations. Maybe
100%.
Maybe Amy Pascal.
My wife was watching Murder Mystery, and it's like, this looked like a fun vacation for Adam Sandler,
right?
I don't watch those movies. I will give props to them. It looked like for the 5 minutes I sat down, it looked like everybody was having a lot of fun.
And you know what? Yeah. To bring it back, I think everyone was having a lot of fun making this movie, especially Jake Gyllenhaal. So DJ and I were lucky enough. Thank you to Sony and Marvel for inviting us to the premiere of Spider-Man Far From Home. It was at the Chinese theater, and that was pretty dang cool. Yeah. If you guys go to my Instagram at Sam Basher, you can go ahead and see a bunch of pictures of a gigantic Spider-Man's butt, because I had to walk all the way around, but so I got the full
view,
the full 180 view of Spider-Man. It was pretty good. Yeah. But this movie was a ball and a half, and of course premieres make it fun as well. Yes. But don't worry, we're at least decent reviewers that were able to kind of look through the fog of that and give you an actual honest-to-goodness review. So, DJ, going into this movie, what were your expectations following Endgame, and what did you think of it? Just overall.
Overall, going into it, I was interested. I love Spider-Man. I've said it before, Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man movies, the first couple really mean a lot to me as a person. Spider-Verse was great, and Homecoming was entertaining. And so I at least knew that this would be entertaining, and it was entertaining. I think Tom Holland is still probably one of the best. I love Tobey a lot, but he's one of the best performers to capture the spirit of Spider-Man. And I like that we're putting Spider-Man in, having him be in Europe and stuff like that, locales that we're not used to seeing him in. So I will say that I think... you read the synopsis, but another way to do the synopsis is how's Tony Stark's teen sidekick gonna figure out how to do life without Tony Stark? It's I guess kind of gonna get into it. My issues with Spider-Man Homecoming carry over into this movie, in that it's weird that Spider-Man feels like a supporting character in his own movie. It's weird that it's it's all revolves around Iron Man. Any of the emotional beats all revolve around that, which feels strange for one of Marvel's premier characters. However, I think the action sequences are significantly stronger. The romantic arc is better earned, and I enjoyed the villains more in this movie. Other than the fact that Vulture was played by Michael Keaton, which was great, and you can never go wrong with Michael Keaton. And I think that's part of what made Vulture stand out. I think the stuff they do with the villains in this movie is more interesting overall, and interested me more. So overall, I think I enjoyed this movie more than Homecoming.
There you go. I'd say going into this movie, my expectations were pretty you keep them right in the middle, because a more recent standalone Marvel movies bar Black Panther, Captain Marvel and Ant-Man and the Wasp, they're kind of they're not bad movies, but they were just I don't know, I sometimes get wrapped up in there's 100% something in my eye, and we're going to go ahead and do a little Nick Fury and keep going through it. Hey, plug the movie. Here, look, there's an acid in Nick Fury if you want to look at that. Check this out. Boom. There he is. So yeah, going into this movie, I just kind of had medium expectations because of those standout movies outside of the Avengers.
Yeah.
They just didn't wow me. They gave me a good time at the movies.
Yeah,
though.
I think that's the blessing of the Marvel movies is that their lowest bar is entertaining.
Yeah,
and it's just perfectly entertaining.
You have a good time at the movies, and it feels like a movie, which is
Yeah.
really cool. It doesn't feel like a cash grab. It actually feels like a movie that people did want to make their own stamp on. When you have a big engine of cranking out movies that have to follow a specific storyline, it's hard to get your own individual flavor in there, but you're able to get that in those movies. So when it comes to Far From Home, my expectations were kind of in the middle. I liked Homecoming more than you. Is actually one of my favorite. I think it's besides Spider-Man 2, it was my favorite live-action Spider-Man movie. That was a solo outing for just that character because his stuff in Civil War and the most recent Avengers movies were great. They were really fun. So this movie, I was just a little nervous for, but I knew that I enjoyed this character and the realization of Spider-Man's corner of New York and the MCU so far. So you can't really go wrong too much. Leaving the movie, I was underwhelmed because of. When it got to, a lot of people have been talking about Mysterio because everyone knows that that's a villain and they're trying to paint him as an ally to Spider-Man in this movie. And we, of course, along with literally everybody else, know what the trajectory of what Mysterio is probably going to be in this movie. So everything leading up to us figuring out what his deal is, I was just like, I'm tuned out from this movie. I was really bummed because there's really good humor. Peter's doing a great job. I like his relationship with his friends and how the MCU is dealing with what happened post the snap. But I'm just I'm not connecting with anything in this movie. It was really a bummer, especially when it kind of came to Nick Fury. He was kind of a little extra goofy when it came to Captain Marvel, which I liked because he was kind of younger and I was waiting for him to kind of get hardened because of things he'd been through. And now
that cat scratch.
Yeah, and now in this movie, there's a really good setup for why he's reaching out to Peter specifically, which is cool. But then I kind of just don't like that he kind of feels incompetent in this, and it bums me out. They do set up why, but at the same time, it's the most paranoid person in the world. He should have contingency plans for literally anything. So anyways, outside of that, when it got to Mysterio's, when they realized what his whole deal is, I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is actually really cool. And also, Marvel kind of knew that they know that their audience is going to be digging deep and trying to figure out what his deal is. And when it comes to that reveal, you totally caught me off guard. It was beautiful and it was wonderful, and especially when it gets into full Mysterio mode from what you'd expect from the comics or the video games or the cartoons. They go above and beyond. It might be one of the coolest sequences I've seen in a movie, and the way Peter is emotionally has to deal with Mysterio and Quintin Beck, the character who is Mysterio. Also, the name, how they come up with Mysterio in the movies, is pretty great. They're pretty clever when it comes to creating names for characters in these movies or connecting them to the comic book characters. So after that, the movie really clicked into gear. The action got really good. I got into more of the romantic arc, and I was like, okay, I like this. And also the humor started clicking too, because the humor that just didn't really do it for me. So I think this movie, compared to Homecoming, I think I enjoy Homecoming as a full cinematic experience better, and I like Peter's journey through that. So but after we find out what Mysterio's whole deal is, I enjoy the movie, and what it sets up for the future of Marvel movies is amazing. Also, the two post-credit scenes that we get in this movie, because there are two, so sit and definitely wait. Oh my God, they are amazing. The two Spider-Man movies have now had my favorite post-credit scenes. They're not like Civil War or Winter Soldier, where it's and here's a clip from a different movie. It's cool, but it's not as cool. No, those post-credit scenes make the movie 100% worth it, but also Mysterio and Jake Gyllenhaal's performance is amazing. So going into positives, just kind of narrowing them down. For me, Jake Gyllenhaal and Mysterio's character, when we figure out what his deal is and how he is weirdly ingrained into the MCU more than you would have expected. They did a lot of legwork to give Jake Gyllenhaal a meaty character. super on board with that. Also, the visuals and the action when they get into it and they show Peter at top of his game. Also, I think the Iron Spider suit looks the best it's ever looked.
It really does. Like,
it looks like
I have been
a suit of armor.
Yeah, I've been very vocal about the fact that I think the Iron Spider suit looks like trash, and it looks less like trash in this movie. I
think it looks like genuinely really good.
It's pretty okay. Yeah,
I think they. Because like they have the metal garb, and when he can make the helmet go away, there were little touches where you can kind of see his ear kind of fold back or his hair kind of fold back. I'm like, oh, you had a little bit more time to work on this.
They still haven't perfected the mask, and it's like, and I will say nothing looks as glaringly bad as the ship saving sequence in Spider-Man Homecoming, where it's like, oh, this is just CG trash. Okay. I think that's one of the weakest sequences in the MCU. In this one, all the action is cleaner, better put together, better thought out, and less beholden to past Spider-Man movies and compares better, I think, which I like me. So there's like when he confronts Hydro Man, I thought was a really fun sequence, and they have fun with that. I will say, before going into my positive, just to get the kind of the negatives out of the way, like I said, it's like this is a pretty solid Spider-Man movie, but it's actually a really great template for a Robin movie, because you could transplant Spider-Man for Robin and Iron Man for Batman and Happy for Alfred, and it's essentially the same movie. But it's bummer because it's not. It's like if you had a Wolverine movie and he was like, oh, what would Captain America do? I need Captain America's shield, and I'm going to go do Captain America things. It's like, well, you're Wolverine, though. Like, you don't need any of that. Like, you're your own guy. You know what I mean? But so I think this to me feels more like an Ant-Man as opposed to like an Ant-Man 2. You know what I mean? Where it's more fun. But it's a bummer that I'm comparing Spider-Man to Ant-Man, because he's Spider-Man. Like, he should be your premier character. And the movie to function requires Spider-Man to do some really exceptionally stupid things. That it doesn't, because it's so focused on being breezy and fun, it doesn't take the time. I think it's really smart that these movies have moved away from the angst of the Sam Raimi movies, and even more the Amazing Spider-Man movies, because they like triple down on that stuff. But at least a little bit of that emotional sincerity from those movies, where it's like the scenes he would have, Tobey Maguire would have with Rosemary Harris as Aunt May. Like, Aunt May serves the same function she should have in Homecoming, in that she's hot, and every scene she's in is just, oh, she's hot, and it's like, yeah, which is a bummer because they set up a big change in their relationship, and then we're coming out of Endgame, and we don't spend really any time unpacking that. The name they give what happened in Endgame, they call it the blip. And it's like, well, but what we saw in Endgame, it wasn't like infrastructure crack. People were like, and it's like now people are going on summer vacations, and so it's like, I have it be fun, have the kids behave like kids, but just a little bit of like, what does Aunt May feel about the fact that her and Peter were gone for 5 years? How is the world recovering from that? How does, you know what I mean? Like, how does Aunt May deal with, like, yeah, my son's a hero and I want him to be a hero. Maybe cut 2/3 of the goofy teacher jokes. There's a lot of goofy teacher jokes for a little bit more of that. You know what I mean? That said, I think Mysterio is one of my favorite MCU villains. Tom Holland's still winning in the role. All his classmates are fun and engaging. Again, new locales, better action. I think I was more engaged with this than Homecoming. Yeah.
The only other negative I would say is the international aspect of this is pretty pointless. It's it could have been New York. It could have been he could have had a trip in San Jose, and it would have meant the same, except for there's a great Netherlands joke in there, and right in kind of in the middle of the movie. Also, there's some landmarks you see in the Netherlands that like Happy just destroyed.
Yeah.
So it's like, why you being a dick, man?
Yeah.
Do
it's one of
else.
those like, we're gonna shoot here because it's a cool locale, but it's like, yeah, but also within the context of the movie, you're wrecking stuff for no reason. Question for you. So this is like, I'm gonna say probably more, but the third movie at this point that's like, we're global, between the Fantastic Beast and Men in Black International and this. Why does it feel so? What could it be done to make it feel more international, and why does it feel so kind of tacked on?
It's as international as Americans view Europe. It doesn't feel like they don't go to any. It's like an amusement park, the way that like these movies kind of deal with it. It's not. There's nothing inherently special about what they're doing when they go there. It's just so that like we can kind of have a different backdrop. But at the end of the movie, we get a sequence where Peter's swinging through New York, and I'm like, oh, I still really like this. Like I just replayed a whole PS4 game where we got to do that again, and it's still really cool. It's just like there are some cool elements where we have a sequence at Tower Bridge in London. That's really cool. In Prague, you get to see like a cool festival, but I'm like, I don't know what that means. I don't know. I don't think it really matters.
The biggest festival in the world, they say.
Yeah, which I feel like Mardi Gras or like there's whatever, it doesn't matter. I feel like the international angle, it could add some fun elements to this. Also, there's plenty of comics and like side adventures where like Spider-Man goes to Europe and he teams up with those people, but it didn't feel extremely necessary. But I will say that the CGI throughout the movie was beautiful. I thought like the elementals were really cool. Molten Man, Molten Man is a stretch. The molten thing that comes out of the ground is great, and I love when we get to learn more about like their whole deal.
Yeah, the elementals.
It's super fun. Also, this movie does a little bit of fan service in a way that some people have been begging for, and it is just it made my whole soul light up. Yeah. It was beautiful. But overall, I think Jake Gyllenhaal and Tom Holland's relationship is a really strong pull for this movie.
I agree. That's something else I would have like cut some of your weaker jokes to give more time with those characters. Again, just more investment in the emotional aspect of these characters. I think would have helped this movie go from like fun to like really good, you know?
I currently it's at a 93%, so we'll get to our rating of it really quick.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that high, but it is thoroughly enjoyable. I can't wait for a third one of these movies.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping for a more traditional is not the right word, but like maybe for this one you can stay in New York. Maybe for this, you know what I mean? Like you've earned it now. Like give us a Spider-Man movie. You know what I mean?
I think they set up more Spider-Man things in the first than Homecoming did. Like there's a lot of Spider-Man characters now in this MCU, so which is great. And I can't wait for more. But if we were to rate it, I had a score we could do at a 23 because it's the 23rd MCU movie. That's end of phase 3, everybody.
Yeah, this is the. Do you think? Let me ask you this: is this a good? Kevin Feige has been on record repeatedly that this is the end for phase 3. This is it, not Endgame. This is it.
Not the funeral for your main character.
No. This is it. Spoilers for Endgame. Protect the Endgame. Is this a good end to not only phase 3 but the entire Infinity Saga, which is what we're calling it now?
I wouldn't have said that. It's kind of like, don't worry, Ant-Man's the end of phase 2.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, wait, what? This feels like DLC for a video game that kind of sets up the next video game.
Yeah,
like,
which is not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
The good DLC is really good.
You could have said this is the beginning of phase 4 because it's literally dealing with the fallout of phase 3.
Yeah.
But they call it the end, so no, it's not. But that doesn't make it a bad movie. It doesn't make the Infinity Saga bad. It just is like, oh, for me the ending's here, and this is DLC.
Yeah, this is an epilogue or DLC, and it's entertaining and fun epilogue and DLC. But like, come on, Endgame was Endgame. What are we talking about here? Come on.
Yeah, this. It's the ending happened already, so that's all you need to know. But out of 23, I'd give this movie a. Like 18 or 19, I give it like a solid B. I think maybe a B+, and that's not bad because this movie is still super entertaining. And I would see it again in theaters, so whatever, take that as you will.
Yeah. I would say similar 17, 18, whatever solid B is as well. I think it's B. It's entertaining.
Mysterio is awesome.
Mysterio is really good.
Which I've definitely ragged on that character because it's just like, please don't put a fishbowl head man in this movie, and then they do it, and you're like. You suckers! You're pretty good at this.
It feels like they've been building towards like a Sinister Six because they seeded a lot of Spider-Man villains in Homecoming, and now this, and it's like, yeah, I'd be down. And also, it benefits from the fact that it's not just another traditional Marvel villain of like, the bad guy has the hero's powers. It's different, and Spider-Man has to fight it differently, and he has to think about. I think some of the best visually realized Spider-Man fights are like Sandman, Dr. Octopus stuff, where he just can't punch his way out of it.
Oh, he definitely can't punch his way out of this nightmare.
And so the Elementals and Mysterio and all the stuff in that it's very cool. So yeah, I'd give it a B as well. It was an entertaining addition to these movies.
There you go.
Yeah.
And we're going to do some deep dives into this movie because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
also,
stay tuned to the
plenty
podcast.
of theory videos that have been out that, oh, there's just things we need to talk about for what this movie is set up for the future and everything else. So make sure you subscribe and, you know all the business, like, do the things. And we have other videos. Check out our podcast at onlystupidanswers.com, patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. We have a new series called, I didn't agree on the name yet, but we'll call it that for right now. Yeah,
it is now.
It is an anime deep dive. We're gonna be watching all the best anime series and movies and everything with special guests on their Patreon starting very soon. So don't miss out. Make sure you go check that out. There's gonna be a special offer going live very soon. So maybe take advantage of it. It'd be really cool. So yes, gang, go check that out. Sam, DJ. at Sam Basher, DJ Talks Trash.
Yeah, that's correct.
We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.